It's finally time for another Mech Armor episode. Now I know I just recently did a Five Nights at Freddy's episode when I finished my series of FNAF characters as dragons last week, but I mentioned in that episode the possibility of doing a FNAF Mech Armors episode, and going back through comments, it turns out tons of people have suggested that before. I think it's an awesome idea, so I decided to just dive right into it. As always, Benny Sharp, my own original character who designs the Mech Armors, is going to be the one narrating the episode. But instead of just talking to nobody or to the audience or whatever, I decided, since he's now met one of my other original characters, Champagne McGreggor, and they have some very fun, goofy, ridiculous chemistry, that I'd write this episode as Benny Sharp explaining mech armors he's designed in the past to Champagne McGreggor. Let's get into this, shall we? Let's go. Hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like, but either way, enjoy the show.
Hey, did I ever tell you about the time I made some mech armors for a bunch of kids that were trying to stop a serial killer? What? No, I've known you for like 3 days. Wouldn't you remember if you'd told me that? Alright, I guess so. But anyway, this kid, she comes to my armor garage, right? And this gal, Charlotte, like 11 years old or something. No idea how she would have found me since, you know, I skipped out on paying taxes for like 10 years or something. So my business ain't exactly one you can find in the yellow pages, you know? And for what? Never mind. Anyway, this Charlotte kid is all choked up and says to me that her daddy's business partner is some kind of crazy child murderer and tried to kill her, but nobody believes her. Oh my god, I hate this story already, that's awful. No, trust me, it gets good. She says to me she doesn't have any money, which, you know, made me start to tune out already a little bit. But she really wanted something to stop this crooked business guy, Willie Afton. Why does that name sound familiar? Who knows, a lot of similar names out there in the multiverse. But anyway, since this kid ain't got no money, but I still feel a bit bad for her, I says, look, mech armors are expensive to build, which is why I gotta charge a lot of money for them. But how's about I just give you a gun free of charge and you can go take the guy out, huh? Excuse me? You just offered to give a 11-year-old kid a gun to go shoot some guy? I mean, she said he was a murderer. Seemed like a trustworthy, responsible kid. Besides, that was a long time ago. I ain't always been the pillar of morality you see before you today. Pillar of morality? You told me that you recently drowned a gopher. I'm a work in progress. Besides, I went looking for the body of that gopher and I didn't find it. I think the little rat got away. Probably scheming to come after me or something. I'ma keep my eye out, cause like my mom always said, never trust a guy named Topher and never cross a gopher. Anyway, kid doesn't feel safe with a gun. In fact, she doesn't even want a mech armor to wear. She wants a remote control one she can use from afar, like a puppet, so she can safely sit somewhere. Send in the suit and just apprehend him or something. Wait, so this thing, it ain't even a mech armor then, is it? Well, of course it is. No, it ain't. Nobody's wearing it, so it ain't an armor. It's just a remote control robot thing. What are you, the mech armor police? Cause you know legally, alright, stop, just finish the bleating story, you clown. Got it. So I make this kid a deal. I says, I'll make her a mech armor, but when she takes down the murderer guy, she's gotta rob his place blind and give me the spoils. I am just gonna stop being surprised by the shady, ridiculous stuff you done. Great, that'll speed things up for sure. Anyway, kid agrees, so I make a mech she can control with a neural link. She was a smart kid and wanted the thing to fly, which, as we all know, all good mech armors should fly. So I took it a step further and just made the thing constantly floating. Gave the thing a bit of a creepy marionette vibe too, to give this Afton guy an extra big scare when he's taken down. And then wait a minute. William Afton? A floating puppet thing? This Charlotte kid? Let me guess, her last name was Emily, right? Yeah, how do you know that? Mate, are you having a laugh here? You're just explaining the plot of that video game Five Nights at Freddy's, but with mech stuff thrown in. 5 Nights of what? This happened, I swear. Are you saying in your dimension this was all in some video game? Yeah, I genetically bred a bleating dinosaur based on this once. Was a creepy Freddy T-Rex thing. No kidding, there's a Freddy coming up in this story. Multiverse is a funky place, huh? You're being way too casual about this revelation. What can I say, I'm a casual guy. But speaking of Freddy, let's get on to him, cause this Charlotte kid did not succeed at the first round trying to take down this Afton guy. And this next one is a mech armor, I swear. Alright, Mr. Picky? Alright, so the kid went after the Afton guy, got to his home, which is a real big mansion thing, but this guy had a crazy weapons collection, some stuff even crazier than things I'd unbuilt. So he was able to blast the puppet mech up a whole bunch before Charlotte made the thing retreat. So, next she brought in one of her other pals, who had friends go missing and was pretty sure the Afton guy had killed him, and was coming for him next. What? I regret asking this already, but why at no point did you just call the blatant cops on this piece of garbage killer guy? You remember what I said about never paying taxes, right? I don't call the cops for nothing. Nobody in my family ever has. Like my granddaddy used to say, never drink schnapps and never call the cops. I think you're just making these things up that your family said on the spot. Maybe. Anyway, I was also pretty invested at that point. I'd looked more into the Afton guy and he was crazy loaded. The kid could probably get 10 mech armors worth of dough from just the guy's house alone after she took him down. So I agreed to build stuff for her friends too. The first kid was this little guy named Gabe. He did want a mech armor that he could wear, but thing was, the kid was like 4 feet tall, right? He was a kid. He wasn't gonna look real intimidating if I just made a suit his size. So I decided to make him a big ol' mech armor, like 12 feet tall, that he could sit inside the chest of and control it, right? You did that about 9 games too early, mate. What? Never mind, just go on. Alright, so this kid is a big fan of bears, and he wanted his suit to look like a big old bear. I mean, at first, he wanted it to look like an elephant, and I thought that could have been cool too, you know, make some kind of mech trunk that could grab stuff, but kids change their minds quick, and after I started, he said he wanted to be a bear instead. I'm a flexible guy though, so I pivoted pretty easy. He eventually also said he wanted the chest light thing to be in the shape of a bow tie. I tell ya, I like working with kids. They got real good and real weird imaginations. Like Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. You got Einstein in this dimension too? Also, since when did you become smart enough to quote Einstein? You know I build mech armors for a living, right? Not to toot my own horn, but that ain't something your average goon can do. Alright, fair enough. Now, let me guess, this kid also wanted the thing to have a top hat, right? Wow, this story really is a video game in your dimension, huh? But actually, I was the one that wanted the thing to have a top hat. Just seemed to fit, you know? So I threw it on at the end after the drawing was done. After the what? After the armor was built is what I said. Anyway, I gave the suit the works, you know? Could fly, had super strength, had some laser eyes, even gave it a funny little quirk where when you bop it on the nose it makes a honking sound. And of course, I gave it repulsors. Everybody wants repulsors in their mech armors ever since the Iron Man and Revenge theme movies came out. Did you say Iron Man? Let's not get bogged down in more differences between our dimensions, alright? Point is, the suit was real tough. The Gabe kid named it Freddy Mechbear, which I thought was pretty cute. I fixed up Charlotte's mech too, and together they went after Afton again. But this time the guy was even more prepared. Think he anticipated another attack. He got himself a mech armor too to protect himself. Was this golden rabbit looking thing that was real souped up. Honestly, wouldn't surprise me in the least if you told me next that you built this clown his suit too. That's fair enough. I have built suits for people who was planning to fight each other without knowing I was suiting up their rivals as well. I'll take that. But wasn't the case this time. He went to one of my competitors and must have paid a fortune cause his suit was next level tough. Maybe I'll tell you about it sometime and show you what it looks like. Depends on how well the video does. What the flip does that mean? What video? Nothing. Anyway, Charlotte sends her mech with Gabe and they try to beat Afton. But his suit is too much for him. They come back and their suits are all kinda withered. And the mech bear looks like a flippin' nightmare. You're messing with me, right? Why would you describe him as withered and nightmare unless you knew something about the blatant video Whatever. So what did you do next? You give the kids a nuke or something? Nah, I just gave him some upgrades. And of course helped suit up another one of their friends. This one, the toughest suit of the batch. I says to this next kid, I got something special just for you.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin, which is to say that, like usual, all of the mech armors in this episode are up as posters on the Teespring store. I mean, I think they rebranded and they're just called Spring now or something, but I don't care, I'm gonna keep calling them Teespring because they got t-shirts up there too. Like this one, which right at the top middle, it's got a Benny Shop original mech armor. Boom, right there. You know why? Because Benny Shop mech armors are the best thing to cross this channel since the Random Boost Art Challenge, which PopCross refuses to do another one of for some reason. Bring back the Random Boost Art Challenges, PopCross, where'd they go? Anyway, also remember that every time you buy a Benny Shop original mech armor poster, we bring this channel one step closer to becoming Benny Shop Studios, which is what I assume everybody wants, right? I don't know, PopCross reads the comments, I don't. I'm busy building mech armors. Like this next one, let's get into another, shall we?
The next kid they brought me was this guy Fritz. He had some even funkier requests than Gabe and his Freddy Mech. Fritz says to me he's a big fan of pirates and foxes. He wants one of his mech's eyes to be blacked out like it's wearing an eye patch. He also wanted it to have a cool mech tail that he could hit people with. Alright, so I'm guessing you're talking about Foxy now. But, well, I don't think Foxy actually has a tail. Well, in my dimension he does, and a real cool looking tail if I do say so myself. Finally, the kid said to me he wanted the thing to have a hook for a hand. I says to him, what are you gonna do with that? He says hook people. Really, I should have seen that come. I could have made this suit just look like a fox pirate version of the bear mech, but where's the fun in that, you know? Wanted a bit of variety in their mech team that's growing here. Made the thing more pointy looking with some head spikes that looked like fox ears, even made the hook hand a plasma blade for some extra good hooking. Ain't hooks meant for grabbing things? Wouldn't the plasma blade just slice through everything? Yeah, I guess so, but it looked cool, so I went with it. I also gave the thing a sorta bendy back legs like wolves and foxes have. Since the kid was gonna be sitting in the chest of this mech too, I could do whatever I wanted with the shape of the limbs. I also added some rockets and stuff that wasn't really something the kid asked for, but figured he needed them. They needed all the weaponry they could get to take down this Afton guy. Plus the kid ended up loving the weapons. Not gonna lie, the Fritz kid came across a little sadistic, like he really wanted to hurt Afton. But I figured, fair enough, the guy is killing kids. At this point, why didn't you just put on your toughest mech armor and go take him out yourself? Or just call in one of the million superheroes you've said exist in your universe? I could've, but I really wanted to see these kids succeed, you know? If you just do everything for a kid, they ain't gonna learn the importance of determination and hard work. What you saying technically makes sense, but in this context, I don't think it really applies. Agree to disagree. Anyway, I suited up this Fritz kid with his mecha fox, and he was really digging it. Once again, fixed up the puppet, and fixed up and upgraded the mech bear. But I left it a little bit mangled looking, and changed up the head and stuff to make it look even more intimidating. So, one more time, the kids went after Afton, and this time I even sent the drone to watch the fight, and it was pretty wild to see. So you was willing to watch but not help? I couldn't help myself. 3 of my mechs versus one of my competitors' top works was gonna be a battle for the ages. And it was. These kids used their mechs like real pros. Fritz hooked Afton real good a few times, sliced up his mech real good. By the end of the fight, his suit was so mangled looking the guy couldn't move or get out of it. They left him smashed up on the ground, then went and robbed his place for me. Brought me enough dough that I was more than willing to build whatever they wanted in the future. Which, based on what happens in the video game in my world, I'm guessing was good since he probably wasn't done with his child killing yet, right? Yeah, unfortunately the cops got him, and when they searched his place they found plenty of evidence of his child killing, but they never got him out of his suit and he eventually escaped in it. But at least his business was shut down and Charlotte's dad apologized like crazy for not believing Charlotte that Afton had tried to kill her. Well, that's a much nicer ending than she gets in the video game in my world. Right, but I wouldn't exactly call it her ending. There were more rounds to be had between her and her friends and Afton. But I'll leave that for another time, maybe. Why? Well, no, just tell me what happened now. Just feels like a good place to stop for today, you know? Maybe I'll tell you more later, maybe I won't. Besides, you got me thinking about that gopher. I want to go looking for him. Worried he might be up to something. Scheming to come after me, maybe. But if you want more of the story, let me know in the comments and make sure to subscribe if you ain't, alright, bud? What? Look, if I stop reacting to the weird stuff you say that doesn't make any sense, will you stop saying it? Probably not.
This is possibly my favorite episode I've written on the channel. The interactions between Benny Sharp and Champagne McGregor are so much fun to write and voice. I'm surprised there were no bloopers in this episode. I laughed a lot writing the script though. But of course, if you're new to the channel and you want more FNAF episodes, as I mentioned earlier, I have a whole series of turning FNAF animatronics into dragons. Or if you want to know more about the characters that were narrating this episode, Benny Sharp and Champagne McGregor, I recently did an episode where they met. Sharp v Champagne, Dawn of Friendship. But besides that, that's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive or uplifting note. And the thought I want to leave people with today is about how depression can come on when you spend way too much time trying to be who you think other people want you to be instead of just being yourself. Playing a character that isn't you can be so exhausting and draining. And while sure, it can for a while make other people like you more, it's not worth it in the long run. Being your true self, even if it means losing some people from your life, is so much better for you. And when you are your true, genuine self long enough, the right people who love you for you will come into your life. I hope that's helpful to someone out there. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Monday, which is another Armor episode, but Fantasy Armors, with a different goofy narrator.